Hi. Today I'm going to do something a little different. With the whole corona thing and you can't go anywhere, so I decided to make a bit of a screencast and I'll show you guys my pictures and talk about what happened. And today we're going to be talking about my trip to North Korea. So to actually get to Korea, you have to go, let's get a window open. You can't just turn up. You actually have to book your trip before you go. So I actually used a company called Lupine Travel, sorry. And they are based in the UK, so it was all above board and legit. I paid with my credit card, it was no problem. And you can see on their website, look, they have like all these tours and stuff. And you just book one of these. I think I paid about 600 pounds for a short tour. I think it was 4 or 5 days, but you lose a day in traveling to and from China. And you just pick a tour and then just contact them or anybody else, any other tour company, and tell them you want to go on this trip, and they will take all your passport information and they'll handle all the visa and everything. And all of the packages are always fully included. So you pay up front, and then you get your hotel, your food, your drinks. Drinks were included actually. Yeah, food, drinks, transport. Basically, everything is included. The only thing you need to do is turn up and bring a few quid for spending money on souvenirs and whatnot. So it's a comprehensive package. There's no problem with anything. And you can't just go there directly. You have to go via China. I'm not sure if there used to be entry via Russia in the past, but these days it's definitely by China. So let me just show you guys on the map here. So there's a border town here. It's called Dandong. And you actually get a train. I think this is maybe the train station around here. And then there's this bridge. It's called the Sino-Korean Friendship Bridge. You just cross that by train and you're in North Korea. It's literally just on the other side of the river. And this town, it was actually quite an interesting place. They had a Tesco, and they also had like a Gucci shop and some like vaguely upmarket brands. I wasn't sure what that was about. The only thing I can think of is North Koreans just popping over to do some shopping and then coming back. That's my only that's the only explanation I can think of. Most people, what they tend to do is they tend to go to Beijing for the tour. They start there and then they take a train. In my case, in my group's case actually, they all came from Beijing. And they took an overnight train to Dandong, and then they had to change in the morning to a different train and then carry on to Pyongyang. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I mean, if you're in Beijing anyway, that's an option, but I'd just take the high-speed train. Or personally, what I did, I was actually in Seoul, so I flew from Seoul to Shenyang, and then from Shenyang there's a high-speed train to Dandong. That's what I did. I wouldn't recommend taking an overnight train and then the next day sitting on a train again for another 5-6 hours. It's too long. It's too long. There is another option, and that is to fly, and that is something that I wouldn't do. Some people do it. It's fine for them, but for me, it's not a good idea. I'll tell you let's see, Air Koryo. Right, Air Koryo is the North Korea's national airline. And if you're going to go to North Korea by plane, you're taking Air Koryo. And the aircraft they have, they're these old, I don't know if they're old, I think there's have some newish ones. But look, they are all Russian aircraft. Tupolevs, Anatovs. I don't know which ones they fly these days. It must be this one, yeah. This is a modern looking plane. But I mean, they have sketchy maintenance. I think they're banned outside of probably just China and Korea. I don't think they fly anywhere else at the moment. So flying is an option. You go to Beijing and then you can fly to Pyongyang. Not something I'd recommend, but it's up to you. You fly at your own risk. So let's get on to the pictures and let the pictures do the talking. Right, let's make this bigger. Right. So this is that river that I just mentioned about. There wasn't much there, if I'm honest. There was just some. There was like a walking area, like a tourist wharf. I think they called it. Yeah, this is the signage. I think that says like Korea, China, friendship or something like that. It was very grey when I went. It was May, and it was overcast most of the time. Yeah, here you go. It says here tourist wharf, and people walk up and down, and they're just hanging out and stuff. Oh, this is the Tesco that I mentioned earlier. This Tesco is actually the last shop I went to before going to North Korea. From there, I bought all the supplies that I needed because the tour people said, take your own snacks and drinks. What you might want might not be available. And at the time, I was addicted to Coca-Cola, so I had to take my own Coca-Cola with me. Although that said, it was available in Korea. I saw like Chinese imported Coca-Cola. They also had some other Thai brand of Coke. I can't remember. I think it's called Lay or something, but it wasn't any good. Yeah, and these are the fake pocky sticks that I bought from Tesco. This is the bottles of Coke, which in the hotel they actually had a fridge, so I put these in there, and I had a cold one every day. All right, so this is the train station at Dandong. I've cleared immigration at this point, and you see these. This is, I think, North Koreans going back to North Korea with their luggage, and these are the privileged few that can leave and go shopping in China. And these people, I don't know who these were. You can tell the Koreans because on their chests they have badges. They have badges of the leaders, which is kind of strange, I thought. But anyway, never mind. This is the train. Yep, this is the train. It's actually run by Chinese, I believe. So it's just like any other Chinese train. It's okay. I mean, it's just a 5-6 hour journey. It's not a long journey. This is the first thing I saw of North Korea when I got there. These two images are everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's a picture of the dear leaders, and this is us crossing the bridge. Now, this picture to me sums up North Korea. It's a lot of nothing, some buildings, and farmland. These are the only things I ever saw outside of Pyongyang. Just hours and hours and hours of farmland. People working in the farm, like manual labor. The only thing I can think of is why there's so many people. Is either they can't afford machinery or they don't want to implement machinery, because then what would people do? So it's almost like a rural farming kind of society from what I could see. Definitely outside Pyongyang. Pyongyang is a city. I mean, it's more of a town, maybe like a big town or something. And this is us arriving in Pyongyang, and these are all the tour guides, and they all are along the platform. You can see this lady in the dress. And these people are Koreans. I don't. So there were some Chinese tourists on the train, and some from Hong Kong as well. So there's a few tour groups on the train. And let's see what else we have. This is my tour group. We actually had 4 guides actually. We had one lady that was the main tour guide. We had 2 guys who seemed to come and go in alternate days, or one might turn up for the morning and then the other for the afternoon. I'm not sure if we were alone with the lady. Sometimes all 3 of them turned up. I mean, I wasn't fussed about it. I wasn't fussed who was there, but they were good laugh. They were good to have around. Very professional people. They knew exactly how to handle tourists, what to say, how to say it. Everything was very professional about these. They had the proper training, and we also had one tour guide from Lupine, and he was with our tour group the whole time as well. And I mean, he really just handled all the immigration formalities, and that's about it, really. I mean, he didn't do much else. He was just there for the tour, and in case anything went wrong, which thank God nothing happened. So this is us heading out to the bus, and the bus is where we spent a lot of time, too much time. The journeys were long from site to site. You know, it would be like 2 or 3 hours. The road conditions weren't terrific. So this is us seated on the bus, the tall ladies there at the front, welcoming us, and asking us how our journey was. This is one of the other guides. I don't think we had that might be the third one there. I'm not too sure. I can't remember. This is the train station from the outside. This is some building. I have no idea what it is. If somebody can read Korean, please let me know. Okay, so we get off the train, we get on the bus, and straight away we are taken to see the dear leader statues. And surprised upon us is this flower booth, and they're like, "Oh, please buy flowers and deposit them at the leader's feet." I mean, they weren't expensive. I think they were 20 RMB, which is $2-3. It wasn't a big deal, but I wasn't too fussed about it. And there was a few couples, and they bought one set of flowers with their partner or whatever. So I asked this girl, like, should we just say we came together, and then we'll buy our flowers together to save us buying two lots. So we just shared one. Oh, here we go. Here's the flowers. So we just shared one bouquet of flowers, and we were like, yeah, here we go. And here's the group putting the flowers at the leader's feet. It was a bit of a strange ritual, especially after like a 4, 5, 6 hour train ride from Dandong. But that's just the way it is. And I mean, there's a lot of these statues. It's actually these statues are actually extremely big. I mean, maybe you can get some kind of scale from this picture. And there's also an interesting story about where these statues actually come from. And I'll explain to it later in the video when the pictures come up, because it's one of their competencies as a country is to manufacture bronze statues, believe it or not. But we'll talk about that. And this is some victory monument. I don't know what it is. I can't remember. It's just a picture of me in front of the leaders. And there's just some scenes of what you can see while you're there. Not a huge deal. You see, there's not much there. It's just there's no commerce or trade. Oh, these things keep going. There's not much commerce or trade. There's no like markets and stuff, which in a city that kind of makes a fair bit of it, doesn't it? There was public transport though. This is our first dinner. I think this was a group of Chinese tourists right here, and these are all us, and this is the first meal we got. Frankly, the food in Korea is like terrible. There's nothing. It's just poor quality. It's just poor quality food. But what do you expect? It's not known for haute cuisine, of course, and I mean apparently they have food shortages and stuff. So it's just the way it is. Not only that, but I guess there's not many restaurants, not a lot of competition, kind of as you'd expect. So this was a bit strange that I thought there was Cathay Pacific serviettes, and I don't know why. But anyway, this is the hotel. It looks like something out the 70s or 80s, and it probably is. And I mean, it looks old. Don't get me wrong. The decor was old. However, it was very well maintained. I will give them that. The room was absolutely perfect. It was clean, spick and span, absolutely no problem. The television had some channels on. The main one, in fact, the only one I watched was BBC. I was so glad to have BBC on there. You can watch some kind of what's going on in the outside world. Don't forget, we had no internet, no Wi-Fi. It was possible to send emails. I'm not sure about using the internet though, but it was definitely possible to make a phone call because one of our group received and made a couple of phone calls. But while you were there, you had pretty much no contact with the outside world. I certainly had no contact with the outside world for 4 or 5 days. So I was kind of glad to get back to China and my WhatsApp and whatever starts working, and it's like, hey, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, we got back safely. This is us in a tunnel. I mean, the roads were poor. I believe that the roads were designed for military use solely, and it just so happens that civilians can use them. You see, this is just what Korea is like. Long roads and nothing. There's literally nothing. You won't find anything on these like highway / military transport roads, whatever you want to call them. There's nothing. You'll drive for hours and hours. You won't see a gas station. You won't see a shop. You won't see anything. We saw one rest stop that was just for tourists, but apart from that, nothing. You'll see some buildings. I presume they're houses where people live, and that's about it. And the buildings are all single story, cheaply built. And then you turn up to this place. It's look how nicely manicured and everything it is. And this is actually a building that houses all of the gifts that foreign leaders and dignitaries have given to the dear leader. It was a bit weird. You'd go inside, and the tall lady, she was in charge of showing us around this place. I can't remember if she spoke English. I think some of them were speaking in Korean and then being translated by our tour guide, which was this lady. But regardless, she would be like, which country are you from? Like one by one in the group. And, somebody would be like, I'm from Spain. Then it'd be like, okay, well, let's go to the Spanish section and see what our leaders got given. And most of them were like gifts from, the Communist Party of Spain or the Socialist Party of Spain. And it wouldn't be anything that special. It would be like a plate or a set of knives or something. Nothing that interesting. Or maybe a rug or something like that. I can't remember what I think from the UK they got a plate. I can't remember what else they got, but we weren't allowed to take pictures inside, which is also a bit of an annoyance. You go to these places and a lot of them they're like no photos, no photos. I don't know why. Maybe they want to keep it hidden so people actually come and have a look. Right, this is a temple, I think. Yeah, we went to this temple, which they said that it was bombed by the Americans in the war, and it's a bit of a strange story. This is our British tour guide from Lupine, yeah, and this is the lady in charge of showing us the temple, and this is the Korean guy, and this is the Korean tour lady. But at this temple, our British tour guide told us that the monks or priests or whatever they were actually fake. They were just put here to satisfy some kind of tick box in order for them to get aid from the UN or something like this, to say, yes, we have religious diversity or something like that. This is what he told us, and I have no reason to doubt him. This is the temple. I mean, I'm not too into temples. I mean, it was okay just to wander around. Oh, you can see the monks down here. I'm not too into temples and stuff, but it was okay. I mean, just to have a walk around. It was a rebuilt version anyway. The Koreans said we rebuilt it after the Americans bombed it and destroyed it, which is okay. It's fine. I wasn't too fussed about it. Yeah, you can just see the various architecture bits. It wasn't that exciting. Let's just skip through these. I think you guys get the gist of this. This is a fridge. Yeah, a lot of things were imported from China. In fact, almost everything. And this is just a Chinese freezer. I think they had ice creams in here. In fact, whenever you go to like a tourist site, they'd always have, like, in this case, this lady selling like snacks. So what have they got? Apples and fruits and stuff like that. And then in here, I'm sure there were ice creams. Yeah. And this is this is where we stopped for lunch, and I don't know what it is. Is it a town? Is it a town hall or what it is? I don't know. It's like a square, but the thing is, there's nothing there. Look, there's no people. The buildings look empty. They look empty, don't they? There's the odd person walking around, a guy on a bike. And this is the lunch. Yeah, the lunch that we got. I mean, it was just terrible. I didn't even know what this was. Apparently, it's a vegetarian. I was on the vegetarian tables, and that looks like it looked like meatloaf, but I don't know what it was. Sorry, pescatarian actually, because this is some kind of seafood, isn't it? That looks like squid or something. But this is all just vegetables. It was okay. I mean, just kept you fed, didn't it? And this is another building. No idea what it is. It's just a lot of nothing. And then, in fact, this is the lunch hall. I don't know if it's a restaurant or something. This is the this we got a surprise trip to a concert or something. You had to pay extra. I think it was quite a bit. I think it may be in 100 plus RMB, maybe 150 or even 200, maybe. I can't remember. But I didn't really want to go. I don't want to pay and go inside. The other people off the tour went inside and they took pictures and stuff. So I saw it. It wasn't anything worth paying for. I'm not really into this kind of thing. So this is the Korean metro, which I wish I could spend more time exploring. Unfortunately, the role of the day was that we get on one metro stop, go one station, and the bus will meet us at the next stop. I would have loved to just walk around and have a look at the stations and stuff. I'm quite a transport nerd, and this kind of thing really interests me. It's just like any other Soviet or ex-USSR metro system. They're all very, very similar. Extremely grand. They usually have platforms like this, and instead of like artwork, they have pictures of the leaders. And it was a good experience. It's a shame I couldn't explore it more. Yeah, see, look here. This is the leader flanked by school children, doctors, and whatnot. It's kind of weird. And this is the train. This is inside the train. The Korean people, I tell you, super disciplined. Just like Koreans, all Koreans. They all seemed like South Koreans. They seem very similar, in mannerisms and stuff. Very well disciplined. No pushing, no shoving, nothing like that. And this is the inside of the train, and look how super clean it is, spick and span, and all the people were very not shouting or anything. It was very good. Yeah, people had a lot of respect for each other and the public space, which I think is good to see. Yeah, but all these people are boarding and disembarking the trains. Yeah, I think the trains came quite frequently from what I remember. And this is just more pictures of the train people disembarking and embarking. This picture of me. This is when we were actually stood around on Pyongyang streets. We never really got this opportunity, which is a shame. I would have loved to just walk around the streets, get on and off metro trams, and you know what I mean. Just explore the city at your own pace at various places, but none of this was possible. Everything was set to a predetermined route. Once you got back to the hotel, you're not allowed to leave. That really is a shame. So this is the street of Pyongyang. There seem to be a lot of people here. There generally weren't this many people, but there was few cars. There's few private cars. I saw quite a lot of taxis, buses, electric buses, trams, like this tram here, for example. That is actually a Skoda tram, like the Czech car maker, but it's now a split off company. Volkswagen owns Skoda cars, but the Skoda train people still exist. And if you actually go to Prague, you can see these exact trams riding around the streets of Prague. It's actually pretty cool. And this is the taxi cab that I mentioned earlier. I saw a fair few of these driving around. I think this was a stamp shop. Yeah, look, Korean stamp. they take any opportunity they can to sell you a souvenir. It makes sense. All the money goes into the government, or however they organize it. This is Korean barbecue. It was terrible. I think this was some kind of squid, tofu, some lettuce and greens. This was dessert, which was kind of like red bean mochi, I think they call it. It's like a rice, like a jelly kind of rice thing stuffed with red bean paste. And this was the non-pescatarian version, which was it doesn't look great, does it? I mean, compared to Korean, like South Korean alternatives, you know what I mean. And this is the view from the hotel lift. It was actually, I think this is all pollution, but you can see these buildings here. This does not. It doesn't look like anyone's working on it. It doesn't look. It definitely doesn't look finished. You know what I mean? How long has it been sat there like that? And is it going to be finished, or they not have the money, or what's going on here? And it's the same with this. It could be finished. I mean, I can see some glass there, but who knows? You know. And this is I'm assuming this is all pollution from China, but who knows? This is the rest stop that I mentioned earlier. This is only for tourists. There you see all these people on the table. They're selling them snacks, food, drinks, souvenirs. There were some toilets inside, but there was no petrol station here. I didn't see any petrol stations outside of Pyongyang, which is the capital. And this is more souvenirs that they try to sell you. We were actually, I think this is on the way to the DMZ, which is the border between the two Koreas. And they take, I don't know what these, I have no idea what these say. If somebody is reading that can, if somebody's watching that can read Korean, please let me know. They're obviously some kind of anti-US propaganda. But what they say, I assume defeat the US and stuff. And this is us arriving at the DMZ. This is the map of the DMZ. You can see this is South Korea, that's North Korea. These are the tables where some agreements were agreed upon. I can't remember what they were. You can see these are maybe some dates of agreements or something. I'm not too sure. Maybe this is, I'm not sure what this date is. It's 2012. And what else have we got? Just more halls where I assume things were agreed, things were discussed. Maybe this is the signature of the dear leader, and I think that might be his date of death. Here we have the border. This is the border here. If anyone watched, I think Trump crossed this border for a few seconds. And this is the South Korean building, and the North Korean building is behind this picture. I've actually been here as well. They let you walk around this section, I believe, if my memory doesn't fail me. I think you could possibly even go onto the road. And this is our guide for this part of the trip, and he would talk to him, who would then talk to us. This is just a picture of me at the border. And these, we never got to go in these blue huts. Apparently some tours can, but it depends on what's going on the other side and what's agreed or something like that. But I've been to that side, on the South Korean side, and it was the same story. They're like, unfortunately, we can't take you today. And this is some old architecture. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was a school, actually, like an old school or something. Or maybe even a university. And this was... okay, I think it was a university. Because I remember the tour guide saying, that's our new university. I mean, it looks impressive, but where is everybody? You know, there's nobody there. Even if it was like a Sunday, you'd see some people walking around. But that said, I did see a lot of buildings that looked like deserted, and then you go inside and there's actually people. So this was one of our lunches. It wasn't anything memorable. And this is the restaurant that we ate at. This is such an interesting street scene, I thought. You see how many people are riding around on bicycles and walking, and the streets are absolutely empty. There's no cars. Look, you can see two. I think that's a Chinese van, and I'm not sure what that is. Very little traffic. Very, nothing really, nothing going on at all. Kind of makes you wonder if there's ways to transport yourself to the capital if you wanted. Are these people even able to go? I certainly didn't see another non-tourist bus. Maybe they take the train. I don't know. Oh, this was some ice cream that we got from after. Yeah, this is a kind of weird experience. This ice cream has a story. So when we pulled up here, just out of sight here was a lady selling ice creams. And when we pulled up, she pulled a shutter in front of a shop, so just so we didn't see it. I mean, we saw this when we turned up, and I was like, whatever. So we had that dinner, which was thoroughly unsatisfying. And then we actually asked the tour guide, I mean, is the ice cream lady still open? Because, we saw her just close. Is she still there? We actually went around and had a look. Even the guide was saying, don't worry, but we had a look. And she was there. I mean, I don't know what that was all about. Maybe they don't want tourists to see shops and commerce taking place. But whatever. So we were like, oh, can we have an ice cream? And the guide was like, he actually bought them for us because the lady, I assume she wasn't meant to sell them to, or whatever the story was. So he bought them for us, and the ice cream was pretty terrible, if I'm honest. It was like a sorbet. I don't think there was enough milk in it or something. Maybe milk is short. I don't know. Or there's very little milk. This is the highway, and there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. There's some people standing around. I'm here. This is me standing in the middle of the highway at maybe 4:00 in the afternoon. No problem. Absolutely no problem. This is the tourist buses coming towards me. I'm walking up and down the highway in the afternoon. You see there's some people here cutting the grass or something. I'm not quite sure what they were doing. You can see the road conditions here. They weren't great. Apparently they don't really invest much money on the roads. If they're there to transport tanks back and forth, then why would you need to spend much on it? This was I can't remember what she said this was, but this was a very strange experience as well. We were driving along, the bus stopped. The tour guides were like, "Get off the bus, take pictures, and get back on." I was like, what does that mean? I want to. You want to get off the bus, stand around, chill out, take it. No, it was literally 30 seconds off the bus, take a picture and get back on. It wasn't a pleasant experience. This is one of the things I didn't like about going to Korea is the regimented system of it all. You have to get there, you have to get on the bus, you have to get off the bus. It's just regimented, the whole thing. But what do you expect? It's a guided tour. Actually, that said, I've been on a few guided tours, and even those, they let you have some free time. You'd have free time, like go shopping. I don't know, do whatever you want. Go shopping, have a walk. But there was no free time. There's no free time. Every single minute was scheduled, and just the evenings you may have a half an hour, 40 minutes to chill out. But you're usually tired towards the evening, which led me to believe, how did the tour guides do their job? Because I was knackered after seeing all this stuff all day. Oh dear. What else do we have? I think this is just some fountains and some fancy looking area of Pyongyang. You can see the leader statues there in the distance. Frankly, I think this is the highlight of the country, never mind cities. I cannot see there being any other city that is anything more than a few single-story buildings in Korea. It's really very underdeveloped. This is the library, actually. The library was an interesting place. This is the tour tour guide for the library, so she would talk to her and tell us about what's going on. The library, it was kind of strange. There's no books. The books were put behind like a counter. Like there's a hole in the wall. There's a hole in the wall, and then you'd ask for a book, and they'd go and get it for you. You couldn't browse the books, but if you ask them, like, "Do you have this book?" then they'll get it for you. I think a few people tried that, and they showed us some books. This is just more. This is the entrance hall. This is the study rooms. They had study rooms, and they had some seminars and stuff going on, which I guess was pretty cool. And these are some of the books that were on display, but most of them, they said they were all put behind this hole in the wall. It looks old-fashioned, doesn't it? I assume it was built when the economy was, in the Soviet times, when it was outpacing the growth of South Korea. And they probably got money from USSR and stuff to build all of this. And I think they were doing some industry as well in those days. This is some computer class where they were teaching these I think they were young adults, programming or something. I can see programming on the screen. Obviously, the day leaders' photographs are visible. This was high-tech equipment. This is another room where you could, I think, learning languages or something like that. Yeah, this is a audio CD. This some of you may recognize. This is where Kim Jong-il, when there's a military parade, stands, and the parade goes past here, and he stood up on this balcony watching down, I believe. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, you can see a few people walking around, but this is another thing I found a bit weird. Whenever you saw people, they were walking, and they looked like they were walking to or from somewhere. Usually when you look at people in the city, some people are just hanging around, sitting, eating. But everybody was like, I'm going here, and not stopping and talking to anyone. It's just some pictures of me. This is the balcony that I was just talking about, and this is the parade area. So the parades go past here. I think they do some things here. There's not a huge amount to see here. It's just a square. It's a shame that you couldn't walk around. I really regret that. I would have loved to just explore the city at my own pace. This is a boat which apparently holds events and functions and weddings. They were telling us about it. I don't think we got to go on the boat, but they were really bigging up the boat. But it's just a boat. It's nothing that special. If they had the Titanic or something, I'd understand. This is another street scene. I think we were walking around a very small part of the street, and this is the closest I got to like a Pyongyang street. Because otherwise, the transport was on a bus. The bus will take you straight there. There's always parking, of course. This is one of the meals. I don't know what this was. Doesn't look particularly appetizing. Oh yeah, this was the. We went to a bar, a foreigner's bar, maybe? I don't know. This guy here is actually the British Consul General. Is that what they call them? The guy who's the head of the British consulate there. And he actually came to visit us because we were a British tour group, even though there were people from other countries, but the company was British. So I assume he was maybe excited to see some British faces or something. And he came to meet the tour guide, and here we were just having some beers and just chilling out with the guides, who were also knocking a few back, actually. We played some games, and I mean, the bar, there was a few people there. I don't know who they were. They may have been Korean. They may have been, who knows, right? And this is Matsude Art Studio, which I thought was a pretty cool place. These people are responsible for producing the artwork that you see. So whenever you see the leaders' paintings, the leaders, whatever, the propaganda artwork or whatever. These people are responsible for making it, and I think they have quite a competency in doing this kind of stuff. So you can see here, they've made this, they painted this, and these people also were responsible for making the bronze statues. I was asking him about how they're made, and he was a bit cagey on the details. I'm not too sure why. Another strange thing about the guy was that he spoke perfect English with a South African accent. I was like, kind of weird. I asked him about it. I was like, "Have you lived in South Africa, Southern Africa for some time?" He's like, "Yeah. I was working in Namibia or something for like 7, 8 years, and we were actually manufacturing." I'm not sure if he said that he was manufacturing statues in South Africa, or was he taking orders and making consulting with people or something. But essentially, the North Korean government or Matsude Art Studio had sent him there because African dictators like to have their statues made. So they asked the North Koreans to come and make the statues, which I think is pretty interesting. It's an export for them and generates them revenue. This is again the train station. This is the art studio, and I remember these people like sitting on the floor. I wasn't too sure what was going on. This is the old man painting. He's pretty cool. I bet he's got some talent. He must do. If he's making stuff like that, he said I painted that, which I thought was pretty impressive. It's a pretty impressive piece of artwork. Oh yes, sorry. I think his specialty was painting either big cats or tigers. Hence. And here we have more pictures of. Okay, here we go. Another shooting studio. People got to go shooting. It wasn't something I was into. I mean, I just spectated for the time, but something to do to pass the time. And this thing I found strange at the time. However, for those of you that follow me on TikTok, I've been posting series like this on TikTok. And these people, to me, it looks strange. Like, why are these people having a wedding in a shooting range? Also, are these actors or something? It looks a bit weird. However, on TikTok, I asked people to tell me what this says, and this is something to do with the wedding, like book your wedding banquet here or something like that. So this is actually legit. These people are getting married, and they were here to have their photos taken, and I don't know who all these other people are. Because if you look at these people, they're not really dressed for wedding either. But I don't doubt that this was not a real wedding. It must be. But anyway, this is where we got to see the dear leader's birthplace, Splash House, and you can see the weather has cleared up. Thank God, it's nice and sunny now. It was just overcast the whole time. So, and here we were just shown the dear leader's basic upbringing, and apparently this isn't even where he was born. It's just something they made up just to show people to think that he was like a simple man from a simple background, and they just showed his house and stuff. There's there's a whole bunch of school kids there as well, maybe on a school trip or something. And this is yet another dinner. Now this is a good place. This was the Korean War Museum. Again, we weren't allowed to take pictures when we were inside, but I think this was a good place. It was really well designed, really thoughtfully laid out. The inside was amazing. I'm not too sure about the factual accuracy of it, but that's not relevant. The design was great. I really look at the. It's just really cool, and they have these great statues from Matsude Art Studio. I assume Matsude Art Studio made these bronze like map. You see, it's very big, very grand. They have these super cool statues all down the side. It was I wish I could spend. Again, we were time limited here. It was like, we're here for 2 hours. We can't see the whole thing, so we're gonna rush through it all. I would have loved to come back and spend another couple of hours there, but unfortunately that was not possible. How cool is this? They have these cool, cool little bunkers. You go down the steps and you're in a bunker, and then you can walk around. It was actually like the route that you walk through the museum. It's just so cool. I really thought this was a nice touch. Look, so you walk through these bunkers, and then you come to these. I think these are American captured vehicles and stuff. I mean, this is ancient hardware. Look how old it is. These vehicles. Yeah, this is USA tank that was damaged. They just take them and proudly display them as trophies. This is a fighter plane. I assume it's American. 82. Maybe somebody can tell me. Well, it says Navy on the back, so US Navy maybe. Yeah, just more pictures of captured vehicles. A helicopter as well. It means ancient technology. Oh yeah, US Army. Here we go. This helicopter must be something to do with that. Wow, that's a gruesome picture, isn't it, up there? Yep, and more of Matsude's finest. You see how nice this place looks. It's just a shame we couldn't spend more time. Yeah, you see the bunkers, and I think these are Chinese tourists, like just wandering around. It was super cool. I like that. This is a captured US spy boat, which they've parked up next to the museum, to show people, look, we managed to stop these people. So you got to go onto the boat, and then they had a whole load of stuff about the people that were, you can see it here, the people that were in control of the boat, sailing the boat, sorry. And they just talk about, look what we did, they were doing this, they were doing that, we stopped them. It was an interesting thing to see as well. And this is the museum. Unfortunately, no photographs inside because it was super cool. There's a big statue of the leader as soon as you walk in, illuminated, and it was, I don't know how tall it was, but it was massive, and it was kind of breathtaking. And they knew it was because when you got there, she was like, "Are you guys ready?" She was standing in front of the door. Are you guys ready to go in? Because you're going to be impressed by this. And then she opened the door, and it's like, wow. This is these pictures are getting a bit mixed up. This is a children's concert that we went to see. This is the outside of the concert hall. And they did some song and dance performance. It was okay. I'm not too much into it. There was a whole load of people there, though. I think they were all tourists, actually. And this is us in just in the square of the city. Yeah, these are where people live, I think. These are houses. There's no shops or anything. Well, there must be shops, but you couldn't see them. This is the Arc de Triomphe of Korea, North Korea. And this is the theme park, which we got to see on the last day, I think. Which was an experience as well. We were around Korean people. I didn't really talk to any of them, but you got to see them and see how they interact with each other, and foreigners, they didn't really say anything to anybody, They weren't staring or anything. They're just like, oh, cool, And these are some food shops that were there at the theme park. I didn't buy anything. I think some of the shops have restrictions on who they can sell to, and we weren't told we could buy anything. But this is the theme park. You can see it's pretty. There's a few rides. I think they might import them from Germany or something, but it wasn't overly interesting. All the rides are definitely imported. Some people went on the rides. I didn't really trust them. And this is the train station. We're on the way home. Yep, this is the train station. We're about to get on the train and head off. This is, you can buy your last minute food and drinks and snacks. I mean, this lady looks like she's having fun. And this is just a picture of us, me with the tour guide. Oh yeah, so you don't get your passport stamped, neither do you get a visa unless you get a visa from a consulate. there was one guy in our group who really insisted on having a visa stamp in his passport. So he actually went to the Korean consulate in London, I think he was from, and got them to put a sticker in his passport. But otherwise, you just turn up and you get this tourist card because they take your passports off you, and then you. I'm not sure if you got to keep this or not. I don't think you got to keep this. I think your passports were taken off you. You didn't have your passports the whole time. You didn't really need it. But the tourist, I think they kept the tourist card. But that's they got to show you the you got to see the tourist card. I'm not sure if this has sensitive information on it. No, I don't know. But anyway, this is the last things we saw from the train going back to going back to China. Sorry, and it's you can see it's not very developed at all. These are trucks crossing to back and forward. And this is us heading back into China. And here I am back in China. Seeing a shop of strawberries. I was like, God, I hadn't eaten fruit in 5 days, And this is me getting onto a high-speed train and back to Shenyang. When I got back to Shenyang, I went to bed, woke up the next day, and went straight to. I fancied something Western, something. Something from kind of back home, or as much as I could. That was reasonably good quality. And the best option that I could think of was IKEA food court, and I hammered that out. I went straight to the IKEA food court, and I got the veggie meatballs. I got a sandwich, like a tuna sandwich, a piece of cheesecake, can of Coke. I had the works, and honestly, after eating, just nothing else. It just tasted so good. And I also bought myself a Subway, and you can see a bubble tea. I was very hungry at that time. It was to sum up Korea. I'll give you my final thoughts. I'll give you my final thoughts on the trip. Oh, here, look, I also bought strawberries. I'll give you my final thoughts on going to Korea. I wouldn't recommend going unless you're really, really, really into it, which not most people are. From what I could see, most of those people that were on the tour, they were just there to, say I've been to Korea, or another guy said he wanted to visit every continent, which I think he went to like Antarctica and stuff, and then I think he said Asia was Korea. I can think of much better places to visit and spend your time and spend your money. South Korea, if you want to see something Korean, or you can go to like Japan or Taiwan. Yeah, there's so many countries surrounding it. I wouldn't make it my first choice. Maybe my last choice. The main issue there is that if I decide to go on a trip to, let's say, Japan, and you decide to go on a trip to Japan, we both go to Tokyo, sure, but we'll have two different experiences. We'll eat in different restaurants, meet different people, yada yada yada. But here, the trip is so just a cookie cutter thing. Why just watch it on YouTube? It's the same thing. If you've seen my pictures, you've got a good idea. I don't think you could really improve on visiting it by actually turning up. The food isn't worth mentioning. When I travel, food is a big thing for me. Food isn't much. There's no shopping, no markets. You just see a bunch of sights. You spend most of the time on the bus. On one day, we were awake for 10, 12 hours. 4 of those hours were spent on a bus going to and from the sites. I don't think you could really improve on it from the pictures. So in my opinion, give it a miss. Give it a miss. Spend your time elsewhere. Spend your money elsewhere. Fair enough, if you've been elsewhere and you don't have anywhere else to go, which was the case for me. I was like, I've been to Korea, been to Japan, been to all of these countries. Just North Korea was remaining, and I decided just to give it a go. For me, it wasn't a big trip because at that time, I was actually studying in Hong Kong. So for me, it was, a 2-hour flight. I actually wanted to go to Korea again, so I was in Korea. I went to Korea first, South Korea, toured around there a little bit, and then went to China than North Korea. But for me, it wasn't a big trip. I didn't have to go far my way. Unlike some people that would come all the way from the UK, they fly all the way to Beijing, go to Korea for 5 days, spend a couple of days in Beijing, and then fly back. I think you're wasting time on that. So that's my thoughts. If you've been, let me know. If you've got any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thank you for watching.